Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Mohammed Kubaib. In this video, we will see how to configure access control for Azure or Citrix DAAS using conditional access policy. So conditional access policy, it is a feature in Azure Active Directory and you should have Azure Active Directory P2 license to use conditional access policy. If you want to learn more about Azure or Azure Virtual Desktop, please check out my Udemy bestseller course. The link has given in the description. So we will see how to restrict access to AVD or Citrix DAAS from personal device while allowing from the corporate device. This is one of the most important control which often used in banking or financial institute to secure the Azure or VDI infrastructure accessing from unmanaged device. So by default, when you deploy your VDI infrastructure in the cloud, so either it may be Azure Virtual Desktop or Citrix DAAS. So this service which is exposed to internet, so anyone on the internet with the right credential can access your VDI solution over the internet. So by default, there is no control where you can allow or deny the connection from managed or unmanaged device. When I say managed means the corporate device and the unmanaged device means the personal device. So by default, it is allowed from any type of device which supports Azure or Citrix VDI client. Let's see what is the risk of allowing personal device to access the Azure Virtual Desktop. So if you are a banking or financial customer, you may have deployed your VDI in the cloud. So in this VDI, you have given access to the applications. Those application may be your financial application, which may include either your PCI data, which is card data, or account related data for the customer. So if the user who is using his personal device to access the AVD, he can access the PCI related data or account related data of the customer. So let's say if this user has installed any screen capture on his personal data, so he can capture all the PCA or account related data of the customer in his personal device, and he can use those data in an illegal way. Either he can sell those data to somebody else, or he can do some fraud activities with respect to you customer card or account details. This is just an example. Similarly, if the personal device might have compromised or some attacker having some access on it, then they can install keyloggers. So it will capture all the credential what user is entering, and the attacker can use that credential to get access into the company network. So it is highly impossible to protect the personal device. So when we use corporate device, then we can have multiple controls so that any such softwares or keylogging applications installation can be prevented. So by default, you do not have any option to restrict the user from accessing the VDI from the personal device. So there comes conditional access policy, which is also called as CA policy, which is part of Azure Active Directory. So the conditional access policy, what it will do when the user is trying to access his AVD or Citrix virtual apps and desktop, the conditional access policy first it will check whether the device is hybrid AD joined or not. Those who are not aware what is hybrid AD joined, please check my video in the YouTube where I have clearly explained and did a demonstration for the hybrid AD joint device. So hybrid AD joint device typically are the corporate devices which belongs to your company. So by default, let's say in that hybrid AD joint computer or device, you have the restriction where user cannot install any softwares like screen capture, etc. So by default, when the user trying to access Azure VDI, the first request it will go to the Azure Active Directory where you have configured conditional access policy. So the conditional access policy it will check whether the device is belongs to hybrid AD or not. So if the device is part of hybrid AD joint, then it will allow the access to your VDI. If the device is a personal device which is not joined to hybrid AD joint, then it will deny the connection. This is how you can secure your VDI environment using conditional access policy, where you can block the personal device and you can allow the corporate device. And you have to make sure that your corporate device is hybrid AD joint. And if it is not hybrid AD joint, then this is not possible. Typically, most of the Azure customer who are using Azure Active Directory, by default the device is joined to hybrid AD, so that you can apply the policies and you can secure your VDI infrastructure. Let's see how to configure the conditional access policy. In the Azure Blade, we need to go to Azure AD conditional access policy. So here we need to click on new policy, give a name to the policy. So I'm going to give the policy name as block personal device. Here you can apply this policy either to all the user or selected group of users. I'm going to allow it to the selected group of users. So I'll select users and groups. So I will select my user, which is fstest3. Similarly, you can select the group accordingly. So the cloud apps and action. So this is very important. Here we need to select our Azure Virtual Desktop or Citrix DAAS. So we need to select Azure Virtual Desktop and then we need to select Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop. So now this policy will target to the applications, and this is very important. Once we define users and the application, now we need to go to the access control. So here we need to select the control. So we need to select grant access if the device is hybrid AD joint device. So this is very important. So it means the users who are part of this group or this list, and if they're accessing Citrix virtual apps and desktop or Azure VDI, and they have to use their hybrid AD joint device. If they are using anything apart from that, then it won't allow the access and it will block the access. Let's click select and click on enable policy on and hit on create. Now the policy is created, and let's open a device which is part of our hybrid AD or corporate device, and we'll try to access, and then we will try to access from the personal device as well. So if I go to my Azure Active Directory and if I browse to devices, I have a device called client PC, so which is hybrid AD joint. Let's launch our Azure VDI from this machine. Now we have logged into the client PC. So let's open the command prompt, and here you can see the host name is client PC, and the status of the Azure AD or hybrid AD, you can say it will show over here. It is showing that Azure AD joint yes and the domain joint yes. It means this device is hybrid AD joint device. So let's open ID client and let's try to access our VDI from this. I'm going to enter the user. So it is successfully authenticated and it will enumerate the VDI details now. So as you can see my VDI, I'm going to launch this VDI. So as you can see we have launched the VDI. The VDI name is block screen capture. From the hybrid joint device we have successfully launched the VDI from the remote desktop client. Now I have logged into the personal device. So as you can see in the command prompt, the name of the VM is personal PC and it is not joined to any Active Directory or Azure AD joined. So you can see clearly here it is Azure AD joined no and domain joined no. So let's try to access the Azure Virtual Desktop from this non-managed personal PC. I'm going to launch the ID client and I'm trying to subscribe. I'm going to enter the username, enter the credential as well. So as you can see, it is throwing an error message now saying that you can't get there from here. The reason is access from the personal device is not allowed. So this is the message what we will get when we try to access from unmanaged device or personal device. To check the logs related to the sign in activity from managed device or unmanaged device, we can go to the users tab in Azure Active Directory and then we will select the user. This is the user fs3. Under that we need to go to sign in logs. So here we can see all the sign in logs related to this particular user. So if you see here at around 5:49 we have a event success for conditional access. So let's open this event and you can see conditional access policy is success. And if you go to the device info, you can see the device type is Azure AD joined. That is why the conditional policy got applied successfully. We are able to access Azure Virtual Desktop because we have access through hybrid AD joint device. So let's see the policy for the non-managed device or personal device. So here we have a status called failure and conditional access also got failed. Why? Because this device is not hybrid AD joint. That is why it blocked the access. So this is how you can check the logs related to the conditional access policy and you can troubleshoot accordingly if there is any issue. So this is how you apply conditional policies to prevent accessing the Azure Virtual Desktop or Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop from managed and unmanaged device so that you can secure your infrastructure. Thank you for watching the video.